Welcome again. We're almost done with today. At least I hope so. Uh, we've had a pretty full day. We had a pretty full evening yesterday too, so it's been pretty busy. Um, this is the 10th annual meeting of the Liberal Gun Club. I am Ed Gardner. I am the executive director, and I also have been playing tech support all day. So if I wander off screen in the middle of someone else talking, it's because I've gone to check to make sure the live stream's still working. We want to do tonight is we want to go through a format that we've been doing for a couple years now. And, we got a little bit better at it last year. I think I made the slides about 45 minutes before we started. This year I made them yesterday. So we've got a lot of information to go over.
Improvement.
We've got some recognition awards to hand out. And then after we're done with this, we're going to have some special guest speakers. Open Source Defense is going to be on later this evening. And then our keynote is going to be Grant Cunningham, who's going to talk about, I believe he's titled it the foundation, the Second Amendments for Everyone. So in keeping with that theme. Without further ado, I'm going to get started. If you're, you can have your cameras on, but if you're muted, you have to stay muted until we get towards the end when we'll ask questions. If you do have questions, this chat's going on in both here and Discord. So if you're watching this on Discord, you see it via the YouTube link. If you're here in the Zoom meeting, you can type right into the chat. Kyle and Eric and the rest of the folks are going to help keep track of what's going on in chat because I actually can't see it when I'm presenting stuff on the screen. So I want everybody to give a shout out to John White and Ivan, whose last name I will not pronounce. I'll let him introduce him later for this year's logo. It's a variation on the Social Distance Learning Series logo that we put out. None shall pass. And then if you want to add without a mask, you can mentally. But that's our logo for this year. There's merch up in the store. You should have gotten emails yesterday with ordering t-shirts and the whatnot with this wonderful logo on it. And we've got some more exciting announcements about the store as well. So we're going to do, each of the officers are going to speak. We're going to have stuff that we need to do, but on the call are myself. We've got Eric Myers, who is in charge of membership and instruction. And he's got a couple of minions who are on here as well, Dave Phillips. And I'm not sure if there's anybody else that's on that is a minion. Then we got Lara Smith, who is our national spokesperson and general wrangler of the press and outreach. And then we got John White, who's in charge of merch. I do not see Alessandro because he is probably still teaching a class. Alessandro is our nominal director of training, of the actual training, so our chief and lead instructor. And we've asked him to sort of participate at a more meaningful level since last year when we made that announcement. I do want to talk about all the rest of these things. We're going to talk about the Illinois chapter because we couldn't have done this without them. Talk a little bit about things you've missed. We're going to give you an overview of membership and instructions, some demographics, some charts, some graphs. Lara's going to talk about some of the press stuff, some of the things we were able to do before everything shut down. John's going to give us a little update on merch. Like I said, then there's some awards, and then we're not actually going to head right into the keynote. We're going to head into open source defense, and then the keynote will be after that. I won't. Nope. Damn it. There we go. So, for the things you missed, you can't have missed the Discord server because we've been blabbing about it for about 4 months. If you have, there's a Discord server. If you don't know what I'm talking about, read your email. We have added the Discord server for real-time chat in our social media presence. It's been a tremendous boon. Especially given now that we've all had to lock down, shelter in place, whatever the nomenclature is in your jurisdiction. It's got video chat, it's got real-time chat, and one of the most amazing things I've found by it is it's for the first time in 10 years or longer, the Facebook people have talked to the forum people, and I cannot say how exciting that is. It's not always clean, but it is a way that has bridged a gap between members that we've not been able to bridge in the last 10 years until we did this. Other things you might have missed is earlier in the year, and then sort of cruising into pandemic mode. You might have noticed that our forums and our main website were a little flaky. They are no longer flaky, and we're going to give a shout out to HK shortly about that. He got us migrated to some real infrastructure, so we no longer have to put up with the crap that we were on. It costs a little bit more money, but it's worth it from a stability perspective, especially as we were pumping out these weekly social distance learning classes that I'm going to talk about next. The social distance learning program. The reason we're able to pull this off this weekend with the way that we're doing it with the Zoom and the Discord and all this telepresence is for the last 4 months, we've been doing social distance learning programs, at least weekly. Started out a little more frequently than that, but I'll talk about that. There's new deals and discounts in the membership portal. So if you haven't checked that out, go log in. There's new merch on the website. John's going to give us some specific updates there. We've had lobbying efforts. We've had huge growth, and we're going to talk about that when we hit those slides. But it's been a very busy 4 or 5 months for people who haven't been able to leave the house. We've done a lot of stuff. We're doing a lot more. We're starting to act more like a grown-up organization. You know, the YouTube channel actually functions now, which is something it wasn't really doing before. And we've had a lot of help doing it. So this was not by any means just the folks that I've introduced so far. Dozens of people have chipped in and lent their expertise, lent their time, lent their senses of humor, and in some cases lent their money and their equipment. So it's been a very big lift, and it's been a very kind of rewarding 4 months, believe it or not, because we've been able to do an awful lot of stuff. This is the 10th annual meeting. The very first meeting we had was in a cornfield outside of Chicago in 2010. It was our intention to have this meeting that we're having virtually in Chicago again to sort of close the loop on that. We weren't obviously able to do that, but the Chicago chapter has been a huge help in pulling this all together. Guys like me helped figure out some of the technology. Guys like Kyle and HK helped figure out technology. There's a lot of infrastructure that goes into it. Folks helped with sound, Paul Cronk, etc. But without Kat and Carl and Shane and Bill and Brian, and if I missed anyone, I am very sorry. Without these guys, we would not have had the program that we have, and I probably would have gotten more sleep this weekend. Kat would like to be known as the Empress of the Universe, but she's actually the Illinois chapter president. Carl's the secretary, and I believe everyone else is just garden variety members. So a lot of work went into putting this together, getting the schedule, coordinating with the speakers, and helping make sure this all worked and testing stuff out. So I would unmute you all, but I'm not going to. But a big round of applause, at least mentally, not perhaps visually, for Kat and team, because this has been outstanding. I also want to shout out to all of the panelists that have volunteered, all of the panelists, all of the instructors, all the presenters. Guns Guide to Liberals presentation last night kicked this off, and Sarah and John did a great job in pulling that together at relatively the last minute, although they're pretty practiced at it. Tonight, like I said, we're going to hear from Open Source Defense, which a lot of you folks have been keen on posting in the various social media channels about an interesting outfit. There's a surprise when it comes to Open Source Defense, but I'm going to save it till later. Grant Cunningham's going to speak tonight. Grant is an old friend of the club, and I like to call him a friend of mine. He'll be giving a keynote again, like I said, later this evening. Lonnie Weissman and Carl Cowan are Stop the Bleed experts, and Lonnie also has been putting in extra time and extra shifts helping moderate all of these chats. The lobbying panel this morning, led by Laura, Richard, David, Deb, folks who've got experience going to state capitals and bugging the crap out of people, put on a great panel this morning. Got a lot of positive feedback. I forgot Kat. So Kat just finished an introduction to range safety, sort of a recruitment video to see if we can get some of you folks into the instructor program. Danielle Casey is pitched in a great deal and also helped present that. And tomorrow she's going to be help organize the Ask the Ladies panel. And of course, Alessandro. We couldn't do a lot of the instruction stuff that we do without him, and all of the other instructors. So folks like Mike Ross, Rick Larson, anybody on the page of instructors, which you're going to get to see shortly. But a huge thanks to all of those folks as well. Couldn't have done it without you. Appreciate the time that you've invested in, and look forward to hearing more from you. So I'm going to stop talking because that's what everybody really wants. I'm going to let Eric talk for a few minutes about membership and education. Eric, if you just say next slide, I'll click. And then after that, it's Laura and John, and then I'll babble some more.
Great. Thanks, Ed. So before we go on to the next slide, I just do want to say that we have had a tremendous year, tremendous several years, honestly, when it comes to overall growth of the club, as well as growth in chapters and growth in the instructor program. So I'm going to be chatting a little bit about where we're at in 2020 versus 2019. And where we've seen the good things pick up for us. So Ed, if you could move me to the next slide, please. Just in this year alone, you can see that we're now up to over 3,500 paying members. We're almost at 1,000 active on the Facebook Members Lounge. The big piece to this one is just since the beginning of the year, we've added 900 new members to the rolls. And we talked about this a little bit during the training piece last night amongst the instructors, but just today alone, we've gotten another 5 requests for training coming in. So people are really starting to reach out, and a lot of these new gun owners that are out there are us, and they're starting to find us, and they are so thrilled that we exist. So we're seeing some good movement there. The other thing that's changed for us, we've added 2 new chapters this year. So we're up to now 30 formal chapters. We also have in the Rocky Mountain region, they may be forming a separate chapter for a couple of the states that are within there. So we may be going from the Rocky Mountain region to the Rocky Mountain region plus Utah plus Nevada. So good progress on that. The other thing that I'll say here is if you want to find out where to get a hold of folks that are in your chapter, or you want to set up local meetups, on the membership page, on the resources page, you can see where the links are to all the forums. I keep this all up to date. Go on there, click on it. If you're not already part of your local chapter, please do so.
Missed Ohio.
Next, Ohio. So they're actually brand new. No, they're on the page. I may have not put it on there, but yeah, they're our newest chapter. They literally just finished forming up in the last week and a half. So some great movement there. And thanks to everybody who's making that happen, the local chapter presidents and the folks that were willing to meet up, particularly during the time of social distancing, to make this happen. You can go to the next slide, please. A quick wrap up on the instructors page. So if you go to training on the main website, we've updated the instructors. We're up now to 40 current instructors. When we really started making a push for this, I think we maybe had 4 or 5, something along those lines. So in the last 4 years, we've gone from 4 to 40. We've got another 36 that are in the pipeline. And I do want to give another big shout out to David Phillips, who is handling all the coordination of both the instructor certification program, as well as getting people through the pipeline and getting them training where they can. This year alone, and I mentioned this as my bullet point, is 500 training requests in this year alone. The increase year over year is astonishing. We're trying to keep up as best we can, but as members, what you can do the most to help us with that is learn how to teach the Intro to Range Safety class. If you weren't able to jump onto Kat's training that she taught just before this, Ed's going to have that on YouTube. Go watch it. Check out what the content is. If you've been a gun owner for a while, it's not really difficult information to convey, and it will help out new shooters and get our club more exposure. So Next up, you can flip to the next slide. This is kind of our overall Facebook numbers. There's an important thing that I want to note here. If we look at our overall membership versus our membership on Facebook, we have a higher percentage of women on Facebook than we do in either on the forums or as paid members. So outreach to that group, and Lara is obviously the queen of that particular project. But getting that stuff figured out is going to be important for the club as well, because there's a lot, again, of brand new folks to the firearms world. We're up about 20% overall with Facebook. Twitter has jumped up by 40%. Forum users are up 30%. We're consistently reaching 14 to 15,000 people on Facebook. So really good progress there. Next slide, please. This is the summary or some of the questions that we did with the membership survey. So thanks to everybody that contributed there. We had about 400 folks respond to the 2020 survey. And the last time that we did it, there was about half that. So we're seeing some more folks being interested in responding. One of the things that we always like to call out during these meetings is where we sit in regards to alignment with our stated positions and what our members think about that. And what we find is on every single one of our 4 positions on regulation, we are at a minimum of 70% alignment to around 90%. With half of the folks that are saying we need to do more, or half the folks saying that we need to do less, who disagree with our positions. So we're getting it about right, considering the overall base. We've also had a lot of you volunteer to want to help the club. And a lot of that is in relation to coordinating range meetups. So we're in the process of creating a new, easily usable form that members and chapter leadership, where there are chapters, are going to be able to submit a quick and easy form to us. We're going to then be able to create the event for you, send out emails, help you with the overall coordination so that you can do more meetups and get in touch with members in your area. So we are working on that for you. Next slide, please. And this, I will now turn over to Lara. Thank you.
All right, let's find Lara in the pictures here.
All right, there we go. Okay, next slide. Got me?
You're all
right. So for those of you, because we have lots of new members who don't know me or only know me as one of the mods on Facebook, I'm also the national spokesperson, which means that I do the majority of outside the club forward-facing stuff. So I go to events. I do a lot of the press calls. I vet either if they're looking for members to talk to or if they want to talk to one of the officers. That's me. So this year obviously has been a little strange, partially because of COVID, partially because it's been an odd year in the gun industry with what's been happening with the realignment of the big guys that really started mid-2019. So I'll start with January. SHOT Show is obviously the big show for the gun world. It is the industry-only show in Las Vegas that about 60,000 people go to. We had 3 members go this year. I've been doing it alone for a few years. Last year, Patty Hall went with me. This year, Kat and my husband, Ed, went and were invaluable for being helpful. It let me... at SHOT, there's a lot of the press is there. So it let me do a lot of press and they could look at all the toys and bring home the pictures and show everybody all the stuff, but also we do a lot of interacting with industry, see what's out there, all that kind of thing. It was great. This year at SHOT, the mood was quieter. Attendance was definitely down to the point that it was physically obvious that it was down. Some years, the gun world is very, very focused on their message, and it's very clear across all the media. This year, that was not the case. And I would say that the NRA blow up, which started way before the most recent lawsuit, really was the driver of that. There's kind of a lot of jockeying in the industry of what that's going to mean. And that was really clear at an industry show. There were far fewer Trumpers wearing the MAGA hats this year. Not nearly as many people like that. A lot of people, frankly, talking about that they weren't happy. So that was really interesting. As always, LGC members, all three of us felt pretty welcomed everywhere. And we did a bunch of press. We did a bunch of fun stuff. The pictures are me and Kat doing press with Amanda Sefakol of Eye on the Target Radio. She's a nationally syndicated female firearms radio show host. And then that's Kat meeting Julie Golub and crying because that's one of her heroes. And so that was kind of fun. We got to do all that kind of stuff. But the main takeaway that I took from that show before COVID was that industry-wide, the gun world is going through a major upheaval. It's going to take a couple of years to shake out. That has been exacerbated by COVID. It's going to be a whole new industry in a couple of years. Next slide. In the press, we did some press this year. That it's been slower with COVID. We've done a couple things, not as much. Kind of the big ones that we did, some fun ones. The Blaze picked us up with an article called 5 Liberal Pro-Gun Groups That Prove That Protecting the Second Amendment Isn't Just a Conservative Priority. It was us, NAAGA, and a couple of others. That was a good article. And for the very first time in the Blaze, we weren't just destroyed in the comments. Riding Shotgun with Charlie is a fun YouTube channel and podcast where Charlie takes people in the gun world in his car, and it's kind of like carpool karaoke for gun people without singing and with talking about guns. So we did that. We also ended up getting a connection with an AP reporter who is gun friendly. She and her wife own guns, and she did a great article on us, which was really fun. And then Gun Curious, which is David Yamane's blog, has featured a lot of our owners this year. Next slide. What's next? There's the typo. We are doing a small recorded presentation for Gun Rights Policy Conference this year, despite the fact that the theme of the conference this year is the election. It's a testament to Second Amendment Foundation that they invited us and so many diverse groups to speak because it's a more political year for them than usual. I've been invited to lecture at David Yamane's Sociology of Guns class at Wake Forest in November, and we'll be doing that. We are going to be doing more lobbying as we can. That is very odd right now because of COVID. You can't really go out and meet with everybody in all the states. Depending on where you are, that can be a different thing. We do want to build more social media presence, and we've been working on it. Our YouTube is working. We have been talking about how to make Instagram work. If there's anybody who is an Instagram whiz who wants to help us out with that, I would love to have, especially if there's anybody who's actually an influencer who really understands that, please talk with us. That would be great. Press calls are actually very steady right now. It's been slower this year with not being out at all the events because that's where I can go make the contacts to talk to everybody. I have done a bunch of stuff with people that I know. I have had some new press call. We've had several recently. A lot of the calls right now, we're sending them out actually to members because a lot of the calls right now are talking to people who are the new gun owners. So that's where they've been. So it hasn't been about the club as much as individual members, but individual members have been in the press. And I would expect that to continue. Next slide. So some goals for us for outreach. We did a Supreme Court brief, which was great. Unfortunately, the case didn't succeed, but the amicus brief was good. We're going to try to do that. For those of you who don't know, those are friend of the court briefs where you're not actually representing one of the parties, but you're representing a position that one of the parties has asked you to take. We've done that. We've had some invites, but nothing's panned out either because of time or because the case wasn't the right one for the club. We'd like to do at least one this year. For lobbying, our goal is to be on the ground at the state and federal level. Of course, because of COVID, a lot of this is on hold. However, we are working on doing some remotely. Reaching new shooters. We have all kinds of programs, the social distancing program, the intro to range safety program. If you have suggestions on things that you think we should be doing as the club, please let us know. We absolutely want to get your guys' input and we'll take that. Press, we expect a surge of interest around the election, regardless of which way it goes. That happens fairly regularly, and this year we would expect it to be exactly the same. So we'll keep you guys posted for that. And let's see, I think that's it. I'm gonna hand it to John.
Hey, y'all. What is the next slide? Okay. Yep, sales are up. We have already this year done at least twice as much business as we did throughout the whole year. So they keep those cards and letters coming. A lot of that was due to social distance learning. We have been selling the Mantis devices at a pretty good clip, and that accounts for a pretty good number of that. We are just now went live with our chapter custom merch program. If you got an email for the swag for the national meeting, also embedded in that are the chapters that we have logos, working logos for. So if you go to theliberalgunclub.threadless.com, you can see all of the different merch that we have for chapters and for our other things. Each chapter, we want your logo. We have 5 logos now, and we are wanting to get all 30 represented. We have a designer who has created some design parameters for it. Probably what we're going to do is have you design what you want, however you do, and then our designers will beat it into shape so that it's into a usable form. So that's our main focus for this year, is getting everyone a logo and then getting their merch programs running. The nice thing about that for chapters, and the incentive to do that, will be that all the proceeds from your sales will go to your chapter. So the more stuff that you sell, the more funds that you'll have, discretionary funds that you'll have available for events or projects. I can't thank Ivan Thalen enough, because Ivan has been the person who's really brought our graphics into a fully professional space. We'd had a sort of hodgepodge before, but Ivan has done a fantastic job of creating the social distance logo and the national meeting logo. We also have Shane Martin, who came in at the very last minute and got all of the existing chapter logos into fantastic shape. I couldn't have gotten the merch program, the chapter merch program, launched without him. So super huge shout out to Shane. We will have some surprises coming this year. And of course, like surprises, we don't like giving them away. But look for some changes in the diversity space on our logo and other things. We want that to be, our logo to be more reflective of the makeup of the club. So that's what one of the things we have coming. And I don't know what's on the next slide, but that could be the end of my presentation. Oh, there's
you got your sales slides. I mean, I think the key here is it's gone up a lot. And I want to point out that it's a self-sustaining program at this point.
Correct. Yes.
We seeded some money from club funds early on, but it very quickly became a sell stuff, buy new stuff, don't have to ask anybody else for money.
Correct. That has been a objective of the program, is that it's a sustainable program and does not cost the club money. And at some point will be, particularly through the chapter merch program, we'll be putting money back into the club.
So that only took a year to get it self-sustaining. I think it was mostly self-sustaining last year this time. So that's a pretty big deal.
Well, one of the main things that we'd like to do is we need to work on fulfillment, and I believe I have some assistance coming in that department. I've been able to farm out a lot of the mechanics of the design, but I still like getting my fingers into creating the products and figuring out how to market them. So as the year goes on, I'll be able to put more time into that and less time into actually filling orders.
And this, I think, is your last slide. It's just a sampling of said merch.
Yep.
Talk
We sort of have a mix of new and old logos. We've found a good source for affordable snap caps, which if you use them at all, have bought them at all, you know that they're extremely expensive. And particularly if you're an instructor and you need to demonstrate loading and unloading, particularly of 22 rimfire pistols for the introduction to range safety and introduction to shooting, you'll really like the fact that we can give you a full magazine worth of snap caps for $5. Whereas I think if you bought those in the regular snap caps, that would probably be at least $20 worth of stuff. So you're welcome. Mantis, we've been selling a lot of that. We hope to bring the new Mantis Blackbeard system for rifle firing into the store. CERT, we usually get those directly from them because we get a good deal from them. That's probably about it. I'm just rambling on from here. Anyway, thanks so much, you guys.
Yeah, so the merch program's been, switch it back to me. The merch program has been really good. The Mantis and the CERT stuff, those were deals we worked pretty early on. We got them into instructors' hands so they could start fiddling with them. And as soon as everybody started fiddling with them, more people wanted them. And there's going to be a competition tomorrow, emceed by our very own Mike Ross, who is not allowed to compete in it because he's better than the rest of us. So stay tuned for that. We'll drop information on that. We might drop that tonight. We might drop it first thing in the morning. What the competition is, which of the training modules you'll have to use to compete in it, and then Mike might shoot it just to show you all how good he is, but the rest of you are going to have a chance to win because he won't be allowed to win whatever the prize is. And I expect the prize is going to be probably something like a CERT or something. I don't think we've even decided that yet, but that's tomorrow. We're excited about that. So I wanted to spend a few minutes talking about the social distance learning program that we popped off very shortly after everybody had to stay at home. It was as this stuff started happening, everybody was kind of freaking out, and we started seeing folks in our friends list start to fall off cliffs, right? There wasn't a good way for us to keep connected. We propped up, it was a great time to prop up the Discord server. We had a couple of options for sort of a real-time chat and video application. We settled on Discord pretty damn quickly, and there's, I think, 350 or 400 people registered on the server now. So a substantial lift from zero. Faster than any of our platforms have ever grown. So that was great. But it was an opportunity for us to look at each other and talk to each other. So just stuff we're doing now, right? Over the last 4 months, there have been some 28 classes. They've been approximately weekly. There's 30 odd hours of content out there, and it's all classwork. These aren't your typical YouTube videos. They're not flashy. In some cases, they're not very good quality from a videography perspective, especially the ones that I did. Sometimes the sound sucks, but the content has all been designed for folks who need to know stuff about guns, and there's no other way to learn it. So we've covered defensive concepts. Alessandro did 3 or 4 of those. Scott Richardson has done reloading, at least 2, if not 3, basic maintenance on across basic types of firearms and then specific types of firearms. We've run our first aid or stop the bleed class a couple of times, and that's actually been run once today, and it'll be run again tomorrow. So Lonnie Weissman and Carl Cowan and Alessandro have kicked in on that. We had a whole segment on how to use the Mantis and how to use the CERT, and how to use these things as either as both an instructor and an end user to sort of benefit from it. It's really run the gamut of gun stuff. Nothing political except for maybe the occasional throwaway line when we're talking about something else. All pure mission specific content, right? Our mission is to help folks learn this stuff. And this was a good way to do it. It really bootstrapped the YouTube channel, right? So after years of dormancy where I'd occasionally throw a video up of, me shooting a gun, or there's a great video that's like 3 seconds long of Keith Ellis shooting a gun and laughing about it. It's one of my favorite things. Now we're, it's starting to be a real channel. It's never going to be, your kid's YouTuber. But it'll probably be a little more than simply these hour-long classes. And like I said, each of these classes are run about an hour and 15. Some of them run a little less. We have introduced the concept of the bench doctor, right? So it became very clear that I was tired of just saying Scott Richardson. So we gave him a name. And we're going to have a little more said about that in a bit. There's been hundreds of new gun owners. They're getting that material from that. We've been putting the links in our forums, in our friends over at the Liberal Gun Owners Facebook entity. And it's a standing resource for the future. So all that stuff's out there for posterity, good and bad, right? It is out there. If somebody needs to know the basics of pistol reloading, or the basics of rifle reloading, or how to field strip a Glock, that's all that material's out there. You got an hour to spend, go out and watch some of it. We're going to be doing a little more in the shorter sort of YouTube proper video space. And that'll start happening probably sometime after this meeting. But, really trying to highlight our members and our member instructors. If I can get Dave Bowes to do more Black Powder Bob Ross, I'd be happy too. There's going to be a whole bunch more that we're going to do with this. I want to thank specifically all the instructors that have devoted hours to this, between the actual classes where we're spending an hour talking and all the prep leading up to it, and all of the, putting time and money into gear to make sure cameras worked and make sure audio works, right? So when I first started doing this 4 months ago, my audio wasn't as good as it is now. It's still not great, but that's because I'm not doing the stuff our audio guy told me to do. But Scott, Mike, Lonnie, Alessandro, Kyle, Rick Larson, Carl Cowan, I don't think I missed anybody. But those folks have been incredibly key into making this happen. And they're what we call the talent. But then there's also the folks behind the scene. We couldn't have done a lot of this stuff without the folks on the screen here. A special thanks to Paul Cronk, who is an audio whiz. I'm not even sure he's in the meeting now. I know he had to work this weekend, so he's been in and out. Helping folks tune their audio rigs, making sure that you could hear us, making sure that we, eliminated any extraneous noises, and even to a lesser extent, helping with the visuals. He's donated equipment, right? We've got these cool audio rigs that we'll be able to bring to National. I'm not using it now, and he probably is going to yell at me for that. For real, honest to God, professional audio presentation. Kyle and Eris specifically, I want to thank Eris first, setting up and managing the Discord server. I didn't know anything about it, right? I knew kind of how things sort of worked, but Eris came in and pushed me aside and said, I'll take care of this. Set up the Discord server. So now we've got something that's managed. It's vetted. People are coming in. We know who they are. And it's the quote unquote safe space, right? Kyle, a once dormant member from Michigan, is now back in full, helping cat herd, getting all the folks into the right channels, making sure folks have the right permissions, etc. Lonnie, in addition to being one of the instructors that we have to rely on, has also been at almost every class and helping manage the Q&A, so making it so that, we can keep the focus on the instruction and on what the content is, but making sure folks are participating and getting their questions answered. Likewise with Mike Ross. For a while there, I saw Mike more than I saw my kids, because he was at every one of these too, and some on the side. HK is our new technology director. I think we decided that that's what we're going to call him. Both helped from making sure that we understood the technology we were using, but also we couldn't have done, we would have been terribly distracted by the web server stuff if we had to do it ourselves, and it would still probably be a mess. And then everybody on the Discord channel, everybody that's been participating, everybody that's been coming to the classes, critiquing the classes, showing off their cool stuff, right? I've seen more pictures of guns in the Discord channel than I have on the forums, which is weird. There's some great stuff in there, and there's some really knowledgeable people. So folks have instant questions about how does this gun work. They drop into one of the channels that has one of those experts in it, and they get their answer. It's been fantastic, and we could not have done it without either the instructors or these folks that have been doing support. So a huge round of applause, if they could hear you, for all of those folks. I have a special treat. Some of you got to see a preview of this last night because there were a couple of members that were whinging about having to go to a training today and they were going to miss it. But we've got 30 hours of material here. We had to have made some mistakes. And indeed, there were some mistakes made. So if I don't screw this up in a moment, you should see a black screen and there will be sound, and I will ask everyone who's not muted to mute, and I'm going to play the video. If for some reason it doesn't play, somebody unmute and tell me I've done something wrong. And welcome again to another edition of the Bench Doctor.
Now your trigger just drops right back in and clips in. I might have to get my bolt out of the way. So once that's in the correct place, whoa! See, but it's not.
And that is,
Now it's locked up.
Took a gun off a Frenchman who can never be used. Now it's locked up. Nice. So you've got rotated. It'll unlock.
That little nub right there drops through the frame.
So far, this looks a lot easier than actually putting together a Ruger Mark III. So.
Oh yeah. Now Lonnie's just waiting for that dose of fun. The first time you do this, you will invent words of frustration. Let's see, why is that? Okay, come on, twist into this. Is where I shoot it straight across the bench. Play it nice with me all the way up to this point. Yeah, we got something not right here. Yeah, well, live and learn. We'll take it apart again. I can hear the gunnery sergeant yelling at me now, right? Yeah,
does anybody in the audience know?
Any disciples of John Moses Browning have a clue? Maybe if I talk, I'll be distracted, and it will. And the ghost of John Moses Browning will bless me, and it will just go together. I don't know why this isn't just dropping. It should just drop straight in and clip. Yeah, this is. I don't like this gun anymore. Anybody want to buy a MAB? Oops. See, I got it wrong. See, that won't pull back, but that's all right because that shows you what wrong is. I'm not volunteering to be an MAB armorer anytime soon. So now let's play the game of can Scott a two-piece mainspring into a gun that requires one piece.
You want to take it off camera for a second, and I'll do a little dance?
I think. Not sure why it's not.
It's way more fun to watch him struggle.
And there's some advice from the interwebs. Do you want it?
Yeah, don't buy an MAB.
Scott, we've actually got levels going here. We've got 40. We've got not getting it back together until you get the new spring. We've got between now and the end of the video, and then 10-minute increments. So
okay, all right.
And I think we're also adding a sub bet for how much cussing goes on between now and then.
Well, the
Yeah.
cussing in my head is out of control.
Going to have bets on whether he gets it back in. I'm going to go with no.
Is there a spring that's underneath that?
Oh, I forgot. You know what? You're right. I forgot the stupid. I forgot one step. Yeah.
Okay, so this is a lot like
I'm
when you
sitting-
forgot to prime the bullets, right?
So now we got to decide. Oh, sorry.
Scott,
Yeah.
are you gonna prime them?
Oh gosh, I'm sorry. I'm getting so far ahead of myself. Yeah, sorry.
Once you pour that powder in an unprimed case, it's just gonna fall.
Well,
away.
it's interesting. You'll figure it out quick. Let's see now.
If you
Okay,
can.
so that's in place.
And now?
Yeah,
Oh, so close.
yeah. That's odd. I don't understand what I'm doing wrong.
All right, folks, go ahead and raise your hands or put it in the chat and ask some questions while he's pretending to make sure that it goes back together.
It will go. I promise. Going at this angle. Let's see.
It was all peaches and cream to get it out at this angle, but
Oh yeah. Now it usually just drops right in there. Just as simple as that, right, guys?
Scott, if you didn't struggle, none of us would watch this.
I know. I don't blame you. I want to see other people suffer too.
there is one video where Scott does get the gun back together, and that's the M1
That's-
Grand video from
well,
2 weeks ago. So people come for the education, but they stay for the fact that you can't put the gun back
They
together.
stay for the struggle. I would too.
All right, guys, more questions while Scott finds the spring that just shot across
Yeah.
the room. I know this is really a lot to ask, but if you can get more of that in frame,
Yeah.
so that everybody can, because all we can hear is the frustration. We can't see it. That's what people are paying for. This is where we get to see Grand Thumb in action.
Yeah. Grand thumb myself on YouTube. That would be awesome. Why is it?
Wouldn't be one of your shows, Scott.
No,
Have one problem.
I don't know why the trigger just doesn't. Oh, I see that upper pin is.
For full disclosure, he actually took it apart and put it back together inside 3 minutes
Yeah,
Yeah.
before the video started. So,
Wouldn't be a video with me if I didn't take a hammer to a gun.
a real quick question before you hit it with the hammer again. And if you could bring it up a little bit in frame so we can watch you fail.
Squeeze this a little bit and try to get that spring out of there. Ah,
Get a bigger hammer, Scott.
yes, I should. This has just gone every which way wrong today. See, that slide is stuck now. Why is it stuck? That's
It
weird.
really wouldn't be a Scott video.
No. Yeah. There we go.
Yay!
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know what was happening there. There we go.
We have no idea what you did, but
Oh, I got it right. That's what I did.
We just had to embarrass him enough to make him do it right.
Hey, there we go.
holy shit, he did it.
I did it. All right, let me.
And the crowd goes wild.
Did you get it back together, or are you just pretending?
Yeah, but I told you I knew how to do it. Honestly.
We believed you. We believe you.
All that happened off camera, so we didn't see it. I'm just kidding.
All right, I'll do it again.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think we've stumped him.
Yeah.
If there aren't any other questions,
Yeah. Anything else that you want to laugh at, criticize? Because I am open to ridicule after this S show.
they were just probably looking to see a cool thing get taken apart and not
Yeah.
put back together again. And you've really disappointed them there.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
You managed to get it back together. So once again, everybody say thanks to Scott. This has been entertaining and even informative.
And not particularly
and,
useful.
I'm not sure this needs to go on YouTube, but I'm going to put it on anyway.
And I want everybody to say hi, Scott, because I spotlighted his video. He didn't have any reaction, which is really kind of sad. Yeah, you're muted. I can unmute you. Everybody give Scott a round of applause, though, because we could not have done this without him.
Oh, I had reactions. It was shame, cringe, sorrow, regret. You name it. But as I said in the chat, no guns were harmed in the making of this. They all function now. We should do a range day with some of these things. Get Mike and Richard together and do a Oregon range day and bring out some of this old iron and shoot it.
That sounds awesome. So that was a labor of love. by Paul Cronk. So again, thanks to him.
It's hard to believe you actually cleaned that stuff up. I mean, it was worse.
Yeah, we went back and forth. And that last picture was the "I have a gun" meme that got created from Rick Larson's bullseye shooting demonstration. So that makes me laugh every time I look at it. We are almost done. Good, because it's 6:30. So I've got one. All the folks that you saw in there, we've been trying to take care of them, making sure they got all the stuff they need. There obviously will be appreciation awards that are going to go out. You may have seen them. There'll be those little oval. Oh, hold on, I got one here somewhere. The little oval lit up Jim Downey plaques with the club logo on it. They're really cool, and you can show all your friends how great you are and what you won an award for. Speaking of awards, we do have one more bit of business. Last year, we announced the creation of the Keith Ellis Memorial. As folks might remember, Keith passed last year unexpectedly. Keith was a huge contributor to his community. Spent an awful lot of time talking about and helping out the likes of the Boys and Girls Club in Florida, and all around was just a really good guy, right? So as part of that, I got to get this right screen back up here. We thought it was a good idea to create a community service award. Last year was the first award. We gave it to his wife in sort of thank you and commemoration for his service. We posted some links on our Facebook page to the Boys and Girls Club. We raised a couple $1,000s for them. This year it was a struggle because so many folks have been helpful, useful, amazing contributors to the community. But hold on, I'll get where's the share screen thing? That's the second time I screwed that up. There should be, I'm sure that Paul's got a blooper reel for me coming. So stay tuned. Get the slides back up. There we go. This year, it was a tough call. We don't really have a formal nomination process for it. We're sort of like watching the wire, watching for folks. Towards the end of the summer here, we started thinking, I think, we've had some really great contributors from our liberal gun club community. All of the folks before were great, but I really thought it was important that the award go to not only someone that's helped the club out, but someone that's sort of demonstrably making an impact on their community. So this year, I'd like to announce that Carl Cowan we're going to give the award to him. Carl's a very dear friend of mine. He runs some emergency management services at one of our local large universities. I don't think he's on the channel because he was taking an extremely well-deserved break, and I think he was camping somewhere without any access to cell signal. But we asked Carl over text if he could name a charity that we could say nice things about and perhaps get some of our followers and members to contribute to. And he has, and I don't have the link to it here, but I will drop it in chat, but I'll tell you who it is. It's a national organization that assists with providing therapy services for Black women and girls. It's called the Loveland Foundation at thelovelandfoundation.org. And we're going to ask folks to put some money towards it. Because in addition to being a heck of a guy and have been on the front lines fighting COVID-19 and really dodging landmines of a bunch of real stupid out there, he cares extremely deeply about social and racial justice. And that pick right there, I think probably tells you all you need to know about Carl. Again, he's not here, so you'll have to thank him virtually. He is on Facebook, but not this weekend because he's out and about. So,
Carl's here.
What? I'm sorry?
Here's Carl.
Oh, is he here?
He's
Ed,
here.
I just jumped on. I found some Wi-Fi.
Hold on. There we go. Everybody say hi, Carl.
Hey, Carl.
Hey, everybody.
Carl, like I said, Carl's a very good friend of mine. Carl, I've just been telling everybody about the Loveland Foundation. Do you want to say anything more about him?
Just that I think they're incredibly deserving, and it would be wonderful if on behalf of the club And in memory of Keith, if you could send them any amount that you're able to. I really believe in their mission. Everybody should be in therapy, but especially young women and women of color in general. Their mission is just wonderful. And thank you so much, Ed, and everyone, the nominating committee, to even have my name said in the same sentence as Keith's is an honor of honors. I was completely taken aback. I can't believe that I'm receiving this, and I'm so humbled.
Everybody say yay, Carl.
Yay, Carl.
Couldn't have gone to a better person. Keith would have absolutely adored it. So that, I believe, is the end of the formal presentation, ladies and gentlemen. We have a couple other presentations still tonight. Open Source Defense is going to be speaking. Grant Cunningham is going to be speaking. And tomorrow we've got Kat is keeping us really busy. We've got another Stop the Bleed with Lonnie. We'll see how many people show up. It was pretty well attended this morning. And a What's in Your Range bag, and then a chat with the ladies of the Liberal Gun Club around how not to force your girlfriend to buy a revolver. I think might be the topic of conversation.
No charter arms.
Yeah, no charter arms bulldogs. But a chat with the ladies, new gun owners and experienced gun owners on all things in that general direction. So I want to thank everybody tonight, all of the instructors, Scott, chief amongst them. I want to thank the rest of the board, and I want to thank Carl again. This has been a heck of a weekend so far. I am almost as tired as I have been at live meetings, and we've been doing these for 10 years.